Hello, my name is Barbara Kolm, and I'm happy to entertain you this afternoon. My first guest of the Free Market Roadshow that we do together with the Ayn Rand Institute in Bucharest will be Dr. Michael Jäger. He is the Secretary General of the German and European Taxpayers Association, but furthermore, he is also working with the European Economic Senate as a director there. And as you know, these are those big business organizations that, of course, have the biggest topics and issues right now, because after all, they will have to solve the restart and they will have to come back. But Michael, before I would like to give the word to you for a couple of, 15, 20 minutes, let's just see. We face the following issues. 3.4 trillion or 25% of the EU GDP is provided by the EU member states to solve the COVID-19 pandemic. And 750 billion is provided by the ECB. Germany, I think, has put 1.2 trillion into the basket. So this is a lot of money. And I mean, eventually the taxpayers will have to pay that back. I think having said those numbers, Michael, the floor is yours. Please give us your outlook.
Thank you, Barbara. And if you start with these figures, you destroy my afternoon because it's one single virus, one single pandemic, and now we have huge problems financially, and we don't know how to restart business. And you said it correctly on each level. The states and the government, European Union, they do lots. It's important to do and to protect people, no damage, reduce damage to people and societies. That's important. But what we all forget is that someone has to pay the bill. So and how to create now the right framework and what should be done now. You need a cool hat as an economist. We have to do everything to create growth and wealth, because only if you have growth, if you have someone who is doing something and is paying taxes, you can redistribute money, and that's forgotten by politics. And if you read this Sunday, the weekly Bild am Sonntag, it's one of the biggest newspapers. Our finance minister announced, yes, we will help, and there's a new idea to help families, to have restaurants, and this branch. And in the other part of the article, you can read someone has to pay the bill, and the idea is clear: we tax the rich. So, but who is rich? In reality, small and medium entrepreneurs, small and medium people are building the society, the backbone of the society. They will be taxed. It's a package. It's now sold. We have to do something. There will be something. We give you money. It's like, I always think like a turkey. Until one day before Christmas, the turkey thinks that the people are very nice and polite to him, humans, but in reality, he will be killed. And so just this helicopter money, it's important to support, yes, but I think strongly, I believe that it's a wrong approach what is done now. So we need changes. We need now better regulation and a framework setting. We would need clear and real leadership. That's what we miss, especially on some fields of the left wing and good-willing People's Party. That's a big problem. And I'm also strongly convinced the state cannot solve each problem and should not worry about everything. So I'm related to the market economy, social market economy. It's a very simple principle. First, you're responsible your own. I am responsible for my pension. I'm responsible for my job. And then the state, the government is assisting me if there's a gap. But now it's vice versa. The state wants to take care of about everything, and it's much more than 1.2 trillion in Germany. It's growing every day. So, and also we have to talk clearly. We have low interest period, and companies should and must create sufficient reserves too. After 1 or 2 months, many of the corporates cannot reopen. So there's something wrong in the business plans. There's something wrong with the reserves. For sure, the state is also responsible, because we have, for instance, in Germany, the taxes are much too high. In Austria, the taxes are much too high. In many countries, we have a high tax situation for SMEs, and then you cannot build up reserve. And if you would do it like in Estonia, as long as you reinvest in your own corporate, you keep the money working, it's not tax. This could be a solution. And it's from our point of view, it's completely wrong if you make now set up a new funds, Corona bonds, recovery bonds paid by a community. So we socialize the debts. That's a complete wrong approach. All the countries do a lot. And we should also look what is already supported, so that you do not get money twice or triple. So we need the right conditions to build up reserves and to create the right framework. And it's the easiest way would to be cut down the taxes, corporate income tax, and value-added tax. So EU allows us to have reduced value-added tax rates. So it's partly done now in Germany. This could be the right way, and also energy costs. If you see in Germany, the electricity and fuel, more than 60% are defined by the state, by taxation. So if you want to reduce costs of people, you have the choice: transfer payments, what is, I think, completely wrong approach. If you would cut down the costs of people by cutting down the taxes, I think this would be a very good idea. And what we did with the taxpayers movement in Germany, we have set up a master letters for reduction at advance payment. You must also act. So the state is not the finance, government is not acting. You have to ask for reduce of your advance payments. And there are a lot of other possibilities what could be done. If I see my own, I have now a social security contribution control. It's not true that it's less bureaucracy. Say, continue business as usual. I have to pay my advance payment, corporate income tax. And so we should really work together and take care that we have no increase of taxation. There's a strong movement now in Germany with a re-implementation of a wealth tax, rich people's tax. We don't know who is rich. I think those who are earning more than 50,000-60,000 euro per year, this is the group. And also increase of inheritance tax, increase of income tax. And I think this is the wrong approach. And we are really to look where the money is going. Helicopter money, I think it's wrong. Also, it's completely wrong. I would love to give everybody a basic salary. What is now in discussion, every German should have 1,200 euro. This alone would cost 1.2 trillion every year, and it's easy to distribute, but it's hard to make profits, to have success. And only corporates hire people, they pay taxes, and so for that reason we have to do everything to create the right framework. And also for Bucharest, for Romania, take care and where's the money flowing, control, transparency, make payments public, that there's really a control that's not only a single group is benefiting. So that's all from my side for the start, and I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Michael. I think you really brought up some very important points. And I think the most important is the taxpayer, who will in the end pay the price for all the money that is kind of now giving away. So my first question would be, how can we make sure that there will be sound and solid policies, namely structural reforms that help us save money in the end after the crisis, again, to come back to normal? I mean, Germany, for example, did a pretty good job in the past years when their public budgets were balanced. Many other countries in Europe, especially the ones in the south, Italy, Spain, France, didn't have a balanced budget. So for them, the crisis will be even worse, or at least for their taxpayers. This is the first question. And the second question I would like to ask you about, you mentioned the wealth tax and the heritage tax. There are only very few countries in the world right now who still have the wealth tax. Out of the, I think the 30 over 39 OECD countries, I think it's only right now 4 countries that still have it. Why is that so, and why do you think that certain people come back with this idea that taxing the wealthy would help us out of the crisis?
Yeah, but the idea, Barbara, is it's not new.
Of course, it's not new, but it's coming back now. And,
coming back. I think that's the unfair impact to society of this Corona pandemic, because the politicians, especially left-wing Greens and socialists, they misuse this crisis to say, let's listen, those who are rich, they should contribute more. That's a very simple message. And it sounds nice for you and for me too. If my own villa or flat, I need a credit, and then the state says, listen, you don't have to pay for it. Someone else in the road is paying for it. And it sounds nice, but it's not fair. And as an economist with a social market theory, you're responsible your own first. And it's completely wrong. Now the politicians want a total responsibility of the state. It's a nice situation. State is taking care, like a nanny state, for everything. For the kindergarten, for your school, for your pension, for your salary, but you're not free anymore. And that's, I think, the high risk. And what we miss with the taxpayers now, we have no plan for the debt repayment. We have an increase, at least 60% increase of the German debt. In Bavaria, we had around 25 billion indebtedness, and 20 will be additional, and 40 more will be loans. So if the state has to pay for it in Bavaria, we will have 85 billion debt compared to today 25. So we burn the future of our children. So we have also to think, if corporates are not able to survive and they got cheap money because the interest rates are so low. So everything and every project, every business was financed. So normally in the economic theory, the money should go there where you have the highest output. And that's not reality. So if you have a restaurant and you from your hand to your mouth, something is wrong in our state. And so we need changes. And it will be a big fight for the next election, because Schulz already said it will be part of the election program. And we, with the taxpayers, with our conservative libertarian network in worldwide and European-wide, we have really to take care, because there's a misuse of the situation. And if you see Germany, for instance, the maximum tax rate is already 45% of your income tax, plus solidarity surcharge. So you have already around 50% if you're really rich, if you have more than 220,000 euro per year. That's not really rich if you're a small, medium entrepreneur, but then you have to pay this. Half of your income is already taxed. So we have really to make things visible. So people have to understand that they will be taxed. It's not the rich with billions. They leave the country. And the money really per clip with your finger is leaving the country. And we lose labor. We export labor force to other countries. So it's a high risk. And I don't know a solution yet, only to make things visible and transparent and to fight for economic freedom. It's a renaissance of this fight.
So in addition to what you mentioned, actually cutting taxes to incentivize not only the enterprises but also the individual would be the thing to do right now. So the total opposite of what obviously certain politicians want. Is this correct?
Yes, and now how do you say, for the small and medium enterprise in society, we have the ugly face now showing the true face, the ugly face of some politicians. And they want distribution, and they want only a single group to be taxed. And I think if it's a fair system, those who benefit now, they have to contribute later.
Yeah,
Or
that's
it's a free lunch for them. I think this is not fair to say one part of the society is benefiting and the other part has to pay, because the other part is already paying today most of the tax revenues. And that's, I think, important that we make these things more visible, because it's now like Amazon with the digital tax and the digital corporates, they would not pay taxes. There's an unfair treatment with strong branches, corporates, and we have to work together. The small and medium entrepreneurs and small and medium people alone will not survive. We need an industry too. And what is also interesting, if you listen, read correctly, I don't know if you have read it already, some politicians of the European Parliament and also European Commission that listen, it's a high chance for us. Maybe only corporates fulfilling the Green Deal should be allowed to reopen. And in Germany, the credit, if you need loans, only corporates fulfilling the Green Deal should be allowed to get the money. So there's a misuse of this pandemic for political idea, and that's really, really, really bad.
I think it's also one point that is totally missed out. And those enterprises, those entrepreneurs, those small and medium-sized family businesses or anyhow small businesses, they didn't do anything that this situation occurred. I mean, they are now punished. Most of them have to shut down, or many of them have to shut down. Some of them receive so-called guarantees by the state, but you have to pay back the money. And not, I mean, they lose a lot of money now. They have to take a guaranteed loan, which they have to pay back. I mean, this is nothing for free for them. So they have additional risk. They have additional issues, and I think this is something that definitely needs to address. And I'm very thankful to you, to the European Economic Senate, and also to the taxpayers' organizations that you constantly pick that up, because after all, economic growth and jobs are only created by enterprises.
Yes, but that's not in the mind of politics. Though I think the message must be create now really the right framework, and it's also, how to say, it's a competition, and we learned lots also from Austria and also from Slovakia with the flat tax movement. So the flat tax reform of Slovakia, Estonia forced Austria to cut down your corporate income tax. And then Germany was forced to do the same. And what was the result? An increase of tax revenues. You can, if you read it, you can see it. It's not a story of the taxpayers that we say lava curve is working. Reality shows that there was an increase of the tax revenues. So, and the question is very simple. If we will destroy economy now, if we depend on the state of financing all completely by the state, will you have more growth or not? So, and I hope that at least one of the smaller countries, if it's Romania, Bulgaria, Slovakia, Slovenia, one of these countries will keep the cool head to continue what they did before, and then they will benefit after the crisis.
Michael,
sure.
We have a couple of questions here. One is from Alice, and she actually said, you mentioned the social market economy. Do we want to promote a free market economy or a social economy? Could you make the difference or explain the difference that Ludwig Erhard meant by market economy and why he used the term social?
Maybe that's always the same when I discuss with my friends from US, they're saying, Michael, you're a socialist. No, I'm not. The social market economy theory, Ludwig Erhard, is a very simple one. It's a very simple theory. So the state is guaranteeing the freedom of the market. As long as the market is functioning, there's no impact of the state, no regulation or low regulation. It must be a fair situation, so equal access to all things. So that's the market economy. So you can make your business, but then you're also responsible. In Germany, we have a pension system. If you're employed, you have to contribute to this pension system. If you're old, if you're a pensioner, you get money out of this system. But first, you're own responsible. But with your taxes, you finance the state. And we have to discuss what should be invested, how big the state should be, public spending for sure, but the social market theory by Ludwig Erhard means that you have a market, you ensure the market system, and you know that you're responsible your own, but for sure society is also by taxes, by tax revenue, taking responsible for the infrastructure, for education, these things. And I think that's a role model, what brought Germany forward, Austria, strong economies. But it doesn't mean social market economy, what some politicians today want, transfer payments. And if you get money without work, if everybody, like the proposal of the left and the Green and socialists now, social democrats, a monthly payment to people without no responsibility you own, it's a wrong approach. That's not social market economy, that's socialism.
Yeah.
And that's wrong.
That's
and we know
making
in Germany, you had the former DDR and Federal Republic of Germany. What was wrong in the other part of Germany? We do not want the socialism, but the market economy. It's called social market economy. It's a term, but it doesn't mean that's a socialism. It's completely wrong in the English world. So it's a misunderstanding, I think.
And it's, Hayek used the term for social. He said it's a weasel word. You cannot define it. And after all, it's responsibility that you as an individual or the entrepreneur takes. I have another question by Lorenzo. He says, do you think it is realistically possible to get back from the nanny state paradigm to the personal responsibility before this debt bubble is going to burst somewhere in the future?
Yes, it's a very, very, thank you, Lorenzo. It's a very complicated question. I hope so, because if you see in Germany, like in Bavaria, our Prime Minister Söder said, listen, we need tax cuts. We do not want an increase of taxation. And the question is, can we finance in future such a nanny state? Because if you look that when I was starting my contribution today, it's one virus, one bullshit virus is destroying whole economy worldwide. Hey, what do we do in winter when we have the next influenza? What will we do? So it's not possible to continue like we did. We have to learn the lesson. After the shutdown, when we have a restart to boost economy, everything must be put on the table. We have to really see, listen, why we had not enough masks, why it's so expensive, why was the infrastructure not working, why we had not enough infrastructure with hospitals. That's a general responsibility of the state. But please, let the market work and no nationalization like some left-wing politicians want now. Left-wing say, listen, we do not finance Lufthansa, we take over Lufthansa. That's wrong. So in this sense, I have to leave Bavaria and Germany. If the state is going in the wrong direction, we have to look which state wants strong people who want to work, who want to pay. I want to pay taxes, but let me work. But don't tax me without any possibility to make profits.
Well, that is almost an excellent final word. We still have 1 minute left, so maybe you want to add something with regards to the responsibility of the enterprises. And it's always the entrepreneurs and their partners, which is the people who work with and for them. I think it's not only one side, it's employees and employers who go together. It doesn't go without. So the right framework needs to be created. And so what is the optimal framework? What can the government, the state do for us?
The state is, for instance, research and development. It must be supported. If you have approval of amortization rules, that's That's interesting. Or loss carry back. These things that you keep the money working in the corporates. That's one idea. And the renaissance of values. And if you see how the restaurants solved the problem, digitalization, I think this pandemic is also a big chance for us to develop the digitalization. I never thought that the school can be closed and the children will be educated digital. So it would never be possible in Germany. But now it's working. So this pandemic shows that if you're creative as an entrepreneur, you find the right way. So let the entrepreneurs work, please. Cut down taxes. Do not destroy markets. Do not nationalize branches. Ensure that it's possible to have competition, fair competition, but do not harmonize things. It's the wrong approach. So I am fighting for freedom, for low taxes, and that's as a peace project, I think, and we will generate wealth and growth for all.
Well, thank you very much, Michael Jäger. I also want to thank the Ayn Rand Institute. I also want to thank the Romanian American University. And as you see behind me, there is a logo of disruptive innovation. And this is, I think, the way forward for everybody of us. And thank you very much for joining us. Michael, thank you for coming in from Bavaria. And I'm looking forward to our next live events at the Free Market Roadshow. Bye-bye. Take care.
Take care. Bye.